everybody. I'm Miss Brick, Mr. Swanson, in case you don't know our names. Today we're going to talk a little bit about neurodiversity. You've probably noticed on the monitors outside of the Learning Commons that we've been putting up some slides about neurodiversity and about celebrating Neurodiversity Celebration Week. And that's what we're going to talk about today. As you came in, you probably have seen some of these quotes, and those quotes are made by friends of yours, by people who are at ASM. And I think that's an important place to start, because our purpose here today is to explore neurodiversity, explain what it is, and help to become more accepting and more caring of others in our community. You know, if you knew me from lower school, you knew that my job was to make sure that everybody learns in the way that is right for their brain. And that's what I do in upper school too, and Mr. Swanson and I work together with your teachers and with students to make sure that everybody learns in the way that is right for the way that their brain learns. Oh, you have your own. Never mind.
Okay, so why does neurodiversity matter at ASM? So I've got cheat sheets here. We know that some of you guys wonder why Miss Brick and I see certain students in resource class, or kids take tests with us, or why some students go and chit-chat with Miss Tessa. This week just serves as an opportunity to just kind of get all that out in the open and talk about it. And to help everyone understand that differences don't mean deficits. It also serves as an opportunity to, at ASM we take pride in being a caring community, right? And so this week serves as an opportunity to help remind everybody that the things we say and the things we do have lasting impacts on one another. So this week is about acceptance more than, a lot of stuff, but definitely acceptance.
Play a game. True or false? 1 in 10 people are neurodiverse. Shout out your answer. You think it's true? You think it's false? All right, I hear a lot of people saying true. Anybody think false? If you think it's false, yell out, what % do you think of our population is neurodiverse? I hear some people saying definitely more. All right, let's see. It's false. 40%. Good for you, Calamity. 40% of the people in the world are neurodiverse. And by neurodiverse, we mean students or people, not just students, people that have dyslexia, people that have attention deficit disorder, people that have working memory problems, or people that process things a little bit slower than others. And we found this research of 40%, but my bet is that it's a lot more.
Okay. So we all know that no human brain is the same. This video kind of just puts that into perspective, I think. At least it did for me. So we're just going to share a minute of it with you guys. And cartoons are fun.
We are all different, and that's wonderful. Some differences are easy to see. Height, hairstyle, gender, eye color, and so on. Other differences can't be seen. Our favorite foods, fears, or special skills. Interestingly, the way we see the world is also different. For instance, what do you see in this drawing? Most people see a duck, but some of you might have seen a rabbit. Whichever you saw, you are correct. This is just a trick drawing to show you that all brains work differently. The brain is your body's computer. It works differently for all of us and controls how you learn. That's why we are all good at different things. How you feel, which is why we all feel different emotions. And how you communicate.
Add a little bit more to that. Because there's no standard human brain. And I want to make this really clear. We think of the word typical. Well, this student is a typical student. This student is a normal student. I want you to try to not use the word typical anymore, not use the word normal, because normal means variations. There are variations in all of us. There's variations in our height, in our hair color, in our weight, in how fast we can run, and in whether we wear glasses or not. All of those are differences, and differences in how our brains work is also the same kind of just difference. So typical really means neurodiverse. We're all neurodiverse in some way. And we need to recognize and respect that all of our brains work differently, just the way that we recognize and respect people's gender identity, or recognize and respect people's race or people's religion.
Okay, another game, but first, take a look at the definition down at the bottom of the slide. It's the definition for stigma. It's a set of negative beliefs and prejudices about a group of people, as well as negative behaviors towards groups of people. Most people don't think about that last one, but I mentioned that the things we say, also the things we do, impact those around us, and those lead to stigma becoming a mark of disgrace sometimes, right? So here's the little game, true-false question. 50% of neurodiverse students feel stigmatized by their friends. True? False? Shout it out. False. For those of you who think false, what percent? I see one person going like this. Nobody wants to share? Shout out? Okay. It's closer to 70%, which is a lot when you think about it. 40% of people are neurodiverse, and 70% of them have some sort of, they feel, whether or not it actually exists, like a mark of disgrace. They feel stigma, right? And stigma comes through in many different ways, most often through little comments we make, like, oh, that's so easy, why can't you do it? Or, oh, I'm so OCD, or he can't focus, he's got ADD. Or asking questions like in front of a huge group of people, like, why does that person have yellow paper? Or why do they get 20 extra minutes on a test? Or maybe you have a friend who works really, really hard in all their classes, and the most they can do is get a 4, and you kind of make jokes about that. Or maybe you ask a friend if they really have panic attacks and get anxious, or if they're not just doing that to get out of class. The point is, neurodiverse brains weren't built to be successful in an environment like this, and that's okay. And we need to realize that that's okay and that that's normal, that's typical, right? And to respect those differences is super important, okay?
I'll tell you a little personal story right now. Any of you who know me know that I love school. I was a really good student when I was in school. I kind of thought myself as, a very successful student. I thought that way until I hit 9th grade. I was always on the honor roll before that. 9th grade came, and I started to take geometry. And I didn't understand a word that my teacher was saying. And my friends and people close to me were kind of making fun of me, like, oh, Jacki, you always thought you were so smart in math, and this is so easy for me. Why don't you get it? Why don't you understand this? Just those little comments made by the people who really were my friends, not even people that didn't know me, not even strangers, people who were the closest to me, and they were teasing. But that stigma lasted until I got to college. When I was in high school, I felt horrible about myself in math. I shied away from taking hard math courses, even though I probably was capable of doing it if I would have put in the work. But that stigma stayed with me for a really long time. And I guess the point of why I'm telling you this is that things are not always going to come easy to you, whether you think of yourself as being a very intelligent, successful student. Someday it might happen to you that something is difficult. So we want to make sure that we're accepting of neurodiversity, because not everybody's brain is the same. And when I was 14, my brain certainly wasn't built for geometry at the time.
Okay, so these are some of the different neurodiverse categories, right? The group that I've labeled memory and processing speed just refers to people who don't have good memories or process what they see or hear a little bit slower. Everything on here is represented by a student or a staff member at ASM. So, look around the room, you're probably gonna see somebody who deals with some of these differences, right? But the important thing to realize is that they don't have anything to do with intelligence. They're labels and names. Oh, geez, hold on. They're labels and names, but all they are is a different way of thinking, learning, or seeing the world, okay?
We also want you to know that we didn't just come up with the idea of Neurodiversity Celebration Week. This is actually a worldwide event that was started by a high school student several years ago who wanted to raise awareness. I think she was a student who had anxiety and attention deficit, but I'm not sure about that. But she started this as a school project. And now it has grown into a worldwide event with this year 2,000 schools participating. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can go to the website. It has lots of very interesting information about how our brains work and about learning differences.
School's like this for some of us. It may not be a place for everybody to demonstrate their gifts, and trying to make everybody fit in the same way does nothing but damage some people, yeah?
And even if you're the smart kid, everything isn't going to come easily for you because everybody's brain works in different ways.
And it's important to be accepting, understanding, and supportive.
Because it's all about respect. And that's what we got for you guys today. Thank you for being a good audience.